Next we have diversity. A lot of money and a lot of effort has been put into diversity programs within organizations. Here's the definition I was given. Diversity describes the coexistence of many cultures in society by making the broadest range of human differences acceptable to the largest number of people. That's the part I like right there. By making the broadest range of human differences acceptable to the largest number of people. Multiculturalism as a function of cultural diversity seeks to overcome racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination. Historically marginalized groups within society include, but are not limited to, Native Americans, African Americans, Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, Appalachian Americans, physically and mentally challenged women, and people with alternative lifestyles. Now, I personally think it's great that they mentioned Native Americans, Appalachian Americans, which is the white minority, and people with alternative lifestyles. It's just amazing to see those included. Okay, the way I paraphrase this one, if you have to think about it, you've got a problem. In other words, if you have to consider how you're going to deal with diversity, you truly don't believe in diverseness, and you have not made the broadest range of differences acceptable to the largest number of people. Growing up, I never had a problem with diverseness. I heard people use slang and slander and slurs and things like that, but it really didn't mean much to me. And a couple of my best friends were very much in the minority because where I grew up, it was predominantly white. Um, Regardless, it didn't really mean anything to me until I got older and started hearing people using the phrases and the nicknames that they'd given to my friends and stuff. All of a sudden, it kind of fell into place. But regardless, to me, it was never an issue. People are people. We're all different, but we're all the same. So to me, it never really made a difference. So the whole fact that somebody has to bring up the differences, to me, means that they haven't fully accepted the differences. And to me, I'm not interested in the differences. I'm interested in the sameness from one human being to the next. On the note of using slurs and things like that, being PC, politically correct, does not equal diverseness. Okay, I like George Carlin's take on this in his book Brain Droppings. He actually explains the derogatory term Indian that some PC white Americans tend to come up with. Okay, first off, as he puts it, Indians is not a bad thing. Native American, that would be an insult. That would be a slap to the face. Because A, they are not native. They came across a land bridge from Asia. B, they are not Americans because Amerigo Vespucci, the guy who drew the map, and who the continent is named after, was part of the group of people who slaughtered them wholesale, genocidal. So naming them after a misfact of history and their conquerors, who were also incredibly brutal and despicable in the way that they performed the genocidal acts, not as good as calling them Indians, because Indian comes from Columbus, who also was not exactly favorable in his behavior regarding native populations. Regardless, he named them Indios because they were people in God, in Dios, people of God. And honestly, given a choice, I'd rather be called Indios rather than my conqueror and fallacy of origin. So, as George Carlin puts it, when it comes to that PC thing, if you bother, and few ever do, if you bother to ask an Indian what they would actually like to be called, it would probably be Arapaho, Iroquois, Lakota, Dakota, Apache, Navajo. You get the idea, right? They would like to be called what they are, and that is their tribe. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, that has been damaged as well, and they don't really have that much of an identity anymore. But if you have the opportunity, I recommend that you ask, what would you like us to address you as? And the answer would probably be whatever their tribe is. And this brings us to inquiry. If you're keeping track, it would be the fifth of the 6 core values, and we'll go into a 7th one that I like personally. This was originally presented to me as inquiry, respect for learning. So, the definition is the information gathering process through which the learner formulates essential questions, locates appropriate resources, and evaluates the applicability of the data for a particular situation. Again, I like to paraphrase and condense. So to me, this is developing the burning desire to learn. This one, more than any other, directly impacted the success of an instructor. At the college, I would repeatedly hear examples from all my students of basically non-conforming to any of these core values, but specifically this inquiry. This was where I saw the vast majority of instructors really messing up. If they were to develop a burning desire to learn the material in their students, if they focused primarily on that as quick in the course as possible, then what would happen is eventually every single person in that room would have the burning desire to learn about the topic. And then your ability to relay that information, your ability to follow any of the other core values, your ability to transfer knowledge is irrelevant. It would take on a life of its own, and the student would go out and learn more about that topic probably than you know, because you can't possibly keep up on every aspect of the technology or whatever it happens to be. Regardless, I would focus primarily on getting students fired up about the topic. And believe me, I had to do this myself in the god-awfulest, worst, and most dry reading ever in my life, which was reading 24 volumes of a military manual. Each volume was in a 3 to 5 inch thick binder. I literally had to memorize the thing, and believe me, that was not fun. But I had to develop the burning desire to understand and know and learn those things. And once I did, it seemed like it actually went by fairly quick and easy. Same thing has to happen with any learning. If you get that burning desire going, then there's nothing that can stand in the way of them learning. You can actually be quite incompetent and they'll go sailing right on through. That's why it made no sense to me whatsoever that the vast majority of instructors and teachers and trainers that I run into do not do this. You would think that it would be in their best interest to do this. Then their ability to transfer information becomes irrelevant because it's going to happen with or without them. And you know what the students remember? They remember that you are the one that got them fired up. And a lot of times, what happened to me anyway was students would change their major, and they would want to go into technology, and they may have just been fulfilling a requirement. Now they were more interested in computing than anything else. So, develop the burning desire, lead to the success of your teaching, and the success of the learner and their ability to grasp the material. And you'll notice that it pretty much accomplishes everything that was mentioned in that definition.